Hello, I'm Adam Barralet and welcome to this Crystal Connections video where we're exploring the crystal Blue Sodalite, this deep, rich blue crystal which is found in various locations around the world. In the past I've had some people ask me, is this just lapis lazuli without the golden pyrite flecks? But in fact it's a very different crystal, and energetically this and lapis are sometimes very different in the way that we would use them for our third eye chakra. Now sodalite, although it's popularly known as a blue crystal, does come in some other colours. It comes in yellow, there's a bit of yellow sodalite. It comes in green, like that. And there is a beautiful one which is kind of a purpley pink. I'll bring it around so you can see all the different colours there. And this is called Hackmanite. It's a really special type of sodalite which will actually change colour depending on the amount of light or heat around it. And we'll explore those different ones in a different video. But today we're going to look at the blue sodalite. And this one is really good, as I said, for the third eye chakra and for getting your life and your mind in order. So let's find out how you can start using blue sodalite to help you each and every day. Although sodalite and lapis lazuli often get confused with each other because they have a similar appearance, they have very different energies. Lapis lazuli is great for enhancing our intuition, whereas sodalite is really good for enhancing your rational and logical mind. If your life is a bit chaotic, then you really need to get your thoughts in order, then sodalite is the crystal to work with. It's really good for studying. It's really good if you're kind of confused or not sure where you're going in your life. Working with this kind of gets everything in order, and so you can start to make plans and structure in your life and start going forward really well. It also helps you build on ideas. So if you've had a great idea, it'll help you to build on that. Sodalite helps to make sure that both our emotions and our thoughts do not get overwhelming and that they're kept under control, that we use them as guidance systems to guide us along our path rather than regulating where our path goes. Sodalite is great for a panic attack, so if you tend to suffer from high anxiety or get panic attacks, then hold on to your sodalite and take some deep breaths. This is really good if you have a fear of flying. Holding onto it during takeoff and during landing can be really great. And while we're speaking about travelling, sodalite can be really nice for those people that travel a lot or live their life out of a suitcase or have a very transient life, because it helps to get that order back together again. It can really help you to find some structure, although things are changing for you all of the time. Where else I really like to use this is it's really nice in meditation. Sit outside with the air, breathe, and pay attention to the breeze and just listen to that. And see if you can actually separate a thought, have a thought, and then let that and try and increase the space between those thoughts. Just where you're witnessing, where you're experiencing. And this can be a really nice way to still the mind and get the mind back under control. So if you want to kind of settle that mind, try sitting outside, listening to the breeze, and not getting distracted by your thoughts too often. Try and increase the gap in between. ADD and ADHD seem to be more prevalent in societies today, and sodalite can be a crystal that can really help with that. Because of its ability to help focus the mind, having sodalite around, if you've got ADD or ADHD, can really help to get that clarity and make sure that you don't get distracted that easily. Pairing that with other crystals such as lepidolite, which is high in lithium, which can be quite calming. You can also use some charoite, which helps to focus that energy, and azurite, which is actually those special talents that ADHD people have. They're high functioning, they have a lot of information coming in. Azurite can really help them to channel that information and that knowledge that's coming, so that they don't lose that or that they don't get dulled in trying to conform to society's expectations of how they should behave. So pairing sodalite with lepidolite, charoite and azurite can all help anyone with ADD or ADHD focus and use that talents that they have for the correct and most beneficial way for themselves and everyone else. One common concern that many people can have as we start to get older is the state of our mind. And sodalite, being such a great crystal for the mind, can be really good for older people to work with. In fact, it's sacred to Saint Anne, who was Jesus Christ's grandmother. Working with sodalite or having sodalite with you as you start to get older can be really supportive, especially for older women. It's great when you're going through menopause, when you're dealing with your children moving out of home, or if you're about to retire. Because it's a crystal that helps you get structure back into your life and plan what goes next, instead of being fearful of these next steps, it allows you to be in control of them. It's great if you get made redundant or you know that a redundancy is coming to again plan what the next steps in your life will be. Sodalite is really good for your memory, and so if you want to keep your mental state really at peak position, then sit with your sodalite each day, do a bit of meditation, or do some Sudoku or passwords, anything to keep that mind agile, and this will really support that. Not only does it support our mind, which is so valuable, but it also helps to keep and protect sacred knowledge. So if there is a religious or a sacred site that is kind of going into disrepair or is not being looked after, or even sacred texts and you want to protect them in some way, then gridding or placing sodalite around that area will really help to preserve that, because we need our memories, not only this memory, but our spiritual learnings and memories from our ancestors, so that we don't repeat the same mistakes again. Anytime you're doing group work or working within a community, then Blue Sodalite is going to be great to have around. It promotes fellowship and companionship, and it really helps people to work together towards a common goal and to be all in alignment in whatever you're working with. It's also a crystal of honesty and trust, and so that is obviously really important when a group are working together to make sure you have that united front. It also fends against things that could go wrong, such as dependence or relying upon other people too much. So grid this around or carry and wear it whenever you're doing some kind of group work, even if that's to do with your family, to make sure that these relationships are healthy and beneficial and everyone is working really well together. Before you start working with your sodalite, it's a great idea to cleanse it, because that's going to bring it back to its natural balance and you're going to get the best effects and energy out of it. Now, there's different ways you can cleanse crystals, and the way I cleanse my sodalite is with the element of air, because air is to do with the mind and the intellect, just what sodalite is really good for. So putting it outside on a windy day is a great way to bring this crystal back to balance. Now, if it's not a windy day and you need to cleanse it immediately, then passing it through smudge smoke or incense smoke will suffice. Also bring in some other energies that really harmonize with this crystal. I always like to call on an animal totem or an animal guide, and the one I use when I'm working with sodalite is the Australian animal, the numbat. Now, this cute little creature is all about detail. It has to be aware of everything, and it reminds us that to make sure that we pay attention and don't miss anything that's important. Sodalite really helps you to do that as well. And so if you don't kind of harmonize with the numbat because you live in somewhere else in the world, then any kind of rodent or small marsupial will really be good, because they spend their whole lives being prey. They have to be aware of everything that's happening. Their life depends on it. And so numbat and other animals similar to numbat can teach you to make sure that you don't miss any important things that have a detrimental effect on your life. There's also a couple of plants that work really well with sodalite, the first one being jacaranda, this beautiful tree that has these beautiful purple flowers. Sit under it and just really connect with that spirituality. It'll help to bring that kind of real focus on what's important to you. It's really good for people that tend to dither. They're all over the place, or they can't make up their mind, or they're always changing their mind. Now, you can either meditate with your sodalite under that tree, or taking the flower essence of that tree can really help with that as well. Now, by now you probably know I love my essential oils, and there's a great essential oil that comes from a plant called Rosalina. It's an Australian plant that grows in the wetlands on the eastern side of Australia. Rosalina has a really nice, it's got similar chemicals to it that lavender does, so it's really calming to the mind and helps you to focus and pay attention to what's really important to you. It's really good if you're highly stressed or feeling anxious. It helps with the respiratory system and allows us to breathe more easily. And so how we breathe communicates with the rest of our body how we're feeling. So breathe in that Rosalina, feel that calmness and that clarity of the mind, and work with the sodalite, and they work beautifully together. Now, the other magical thing about Rosalina, it's really good for helping with past life reliefs. Sodalite as well really helps you to bring up things that we've kept suppressed in this lifetime and other lifetimes as well. So breathing in Rosalina oil while you're holding on this can be great, especially if you feel that you were persecuted in a past life and that's carried through into how you're living this life. Maybe you're not showing your bright light, you're kind of playing small because you fear standing out, being caught and being persecuted again. If that relates to you, then working with Rosalina can really help to shift this and break that chain that's come through into this lifetime. Astrologically, sodalite works really well with the planet Saturn, and Saturn rules Saturday, so this is the most magical day to work with your sodalite. Now, have you worked with Blue Sodalite? I'd love to hear about your experiences, and so would the rest of our crystal loving community. So please leave a comment in the section below. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to hear when the next one's happening, then you'll find a little subscribe button somewhere around here. Subscribe as well, and then you'll get the notification straight in your inbox as soon as I post up the next crystal video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Adam Barralet. Blessed be.